On this week's episode, the future of the MCU may have just been decided with Loki. Are you thirsty for a gunpowder milkshake? And Netflix is getting into video games. All this and more as we reach our next stop, the PCC Multiverse. And we're back with another episode of the PCC Multiverse. This is Gerald Glassford from Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and the Lakers Fast Break. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our shows. And if you can, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow, or do anything that you can to support us right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos, popculturecosmos.com. Any one of the number of great radio stations, now over 50 worldwide, that support us here at the Pop Culture Cosmos, or anything else that we do out there in social media at Pop Culture Cosmos, it is sincerely appreciated. But it wouldn't be a Pop Culture Cosmos, or it wouldn't be a PCC Multiverse without my good friend. He is the Castle PCC on the Twitter and Instagram. You got to check out what he's doing today at Castle PCC with a K on Twitter and Instagram. He's a good man indeed. You got to check out his great conversation that he had on our Monday program in regards to the Nintendo Switch, also as well, America, the Motion Picture, and so much more. It is my good friend indeed. It is Marcus de la Garza. And Marcus, great to have you back on the program one more time.
I wouldn't categorize that as great discussion. I think it was okay discussion, but I did really enjoy having Daniel on, and it was wonderful to have him, feature and give us his insights. So again, thanks to Daniel for jumping on the episode with us and doing that just quick hot take on the Nintendo Switch. But Gerald, we've got some great topics tonight. I'm really looking forward to talking Emmy nominations, and let's make fun of Netflix because I'm not sure I dig this entire video game thing they're doing.
Well, we're going to talk about Netflix getting into video games on the back end of the show. Plus also as well, we're going to talk Space Jam because Space Jam hits theaters this weekend. Also, HBO Max. So you can see either or. So we're going to talk about that coming up and the chances it has as far as doing good numbers at the box office. Plus, we're going to be talking about Loki episode 6. And we will get into spoilers on that just to let everyone know. We're going to be talking Gunpowder Milkshake. Maybe a little bit on the Steam Deck, although I may save most of my thoughts on the Monday show because Josh, I know, is already just chomping at the bit to talk about that. Plus also some great things going on with the Emmy nominations as well. But also, among all the stuff that we're going to be talking about, are 3 great interviews, 3 great thoughts from our good friends that are out there. Jeff Dwoskin, he's a big-time comedian. Big-time comedian Jeff Dwoskin is on the show. Also as well, TJ Johnson and Noe and Fine from Honey Queen. All 3 of them are going to stop by for some quick thoughts on Black Widow because they all wanted to talk Black Widow. Gerald, I got to speak to you about Black Widow. Got to talk Black Widow. So they're here to talk about Black Widow coming up later on the program as well. But first off, my friend, it is the Emmy nominations. And everybody at this point in time, like Netflix, like Apple, like Amazon Prime, they're all touting, oh, we won 20 awards here. We got 20 Emmy nominations here. We got 100 Emmy nominations there, blah, 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 blah. Okay. I'm not going to count down who has the most or who has what or, whatnot. I want to point out just some interesting pop culture related Emmy nominations and some of the things that stuck out to me, but I will grant it to you first, my friend. Let's give you the floor first on some Emmy nominations that stuck out to you for one reason or another.
All right, I'm going to lead off with one thing real quick. I really despise this time of the year when we start throwing the promotional things on the TV on the streaming services where it's just like 6 Emmy nominations, 5 Emmy nominations.
I saw that day on my Amazon that Amazon was already just like 20 Emmy nominations right there for you. Netflix, 100 Emmy nominations or whatever they got. HBO, got tens and tens of nominations. Yes, we know that. We know you're great. We know you got all this stuff. The only thing is, the broadcasting networks outside of maybe NBC, they really don't have much to crow about anymore.
They really don't. And so, but yeah, I mean, just what I was saying, though, this time of the year is kind of one of my least favorites just because you see all the cover art change and you get all the nods of the Emmy nominations and everything else that's going on. And there's really nothing wrong with that. I just, honestly, it's just give me the cover art. I don't need to be swayed one way or the other.
Advertising for them. Like, for instance,
I get
favorite show, Ted Lasso, which got multiple Emmy nominations, which proved you right, proved me wrong. I never said it. I didn't think it was going to be a bad show. I just said it wasn't for me. I could see out there the popularity of it. I've reported on stories of how popular it is for Apple Plus, how many, what the Metacritic, what the love for it is. It's garnered already many awards already. So you already knew where it was going with that. So Ted Lasso, props to you, my friend. You're a big supporter of it. So I've always said how much I am so glad that you enjoy it so thoroughly. I wish I had, and I'm just glad that you did. So that's a good one, man. Ted Lasso to start off with.
It is. Ted Lasso is great. They are nominated for, what is it? Outstanding lead actor in a comedy series, and I think also they've got outstanding comedy series. They've got some stiff, competition there, but I mean, I think they've got a chance to win both of those, lead actor and comedy series. I think, great nomination there. I thought it was a great show. I understand that, it didn't resonate with you, but regardless, you did see the potential there and you saw what was happening. So I do want to give a nod at the outstanding lead actor in a limited series or TV movie category. Ewan McGregor in Halston was outstanding. My wife and I sat and watched that pretty much in a week. Like, we just watched an episode a day, week and a half, whatever it was, and it was a lot of fun, and I learned a lot that I guess I didn't know about the fashion industry, number one, but number two, about Halston himself. Outstanding show. So if you get a chance, the big problem I had with that category is you've got Paul Bettany with WandaVision, Hugh Grant with The Undoing, McGregor with Halston, and then you've got Lin-Manuel Miranda and Leslie Odom Jr. for Hamilton. And my issue there is, yes, I guess I do deserve the Emmy nod because they did the Disney Plus thing. But at the end of the day, you've already won a ton of Tonys. Let's leave this category for other people that need an award first. Well,
Leslie Odom Jr., great job in it. I didn't think Lin-Manuel was that great in it, personally. That was one of the many kind of choices that were done with the Emmy nominations. I will say some of mine. First off, as far as something that even he can't believe, Don Cheadle for a 98-second cameo. It literally... just a couple minutes here and there on the first and last episodes of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, he got nominated for. He can't even believe it. I thought that was probably one of the dumbest Emmy nominations I've ever seen. Yeah. If this is something he's actually played now for 10 years and has been better in other performances because he's been on camera for other more performances. I mean, his performance in Endgame was much better than this, with the Cheese Whiz joke. So I think that was just embarrassing by anyone who, well, first of all, Disney for promoting it. That was probably their fault for just pushing that on there. But because Don Cheadle's done actually much better work this year on other shows that were more deserving of Emmy nominations than what he got for Falcon and Winter Soldier. But second of all, The Boys is finally recognized after I slammed the Emmys last year for not recognizing The Boys. They were recognized for their second season across the board in regards to best overall series for drama.
It was an outstanding season, Gerald. It deserved it. I mean, like, it deserved the nomination here.
Yeah, it was one of my best shows on television. I love the fact that Cobra Kai was also nominated in Best Comedy. I cannot thank the Emmy nominations enough for going ahead and doing that. Just a great show, a lot of fun, something that's been a long time coming. It is a little cheesy sometimes, but it oozes so much what we are so nostalgic about in the 80s, and it just takes that and flips it right up on its head and does such a great job in doing that. I thought this season was a very good season, and it was well worth it. I know a lot of people are asking why William Zabka didn't get the nomination, but if you've seen his character and the way he plays the character, he does a really, really good job on it. And I've always been high on him, but he always seems to play in such a flat mannerism. So I'm not sure. He doesn't emote. His character does not emote very well. So I don't know if getting him to that point of an Emmy nomination was really that valid, but he still has done a great job with his character because it's completely. Again, if you want to go check out my first thoughts on Cobra Kai way back when on this show, please, because I was just so enamored with his performance in regards to the way he evolved his Johnny character and also the way the show evolved from the exact opposite of what we saw and what turned me off of the Karate Kid series in general. So big kudos to Cobra Kai. WandaVision earning several nods and nominations.
We had a feeling that was going to happen, though, right?
Yeah, because it's so quirky, it's so out there. Even though we thought it was just okay, some of the episodes were truly outstanding, and some of the episodes were not. So it was kind of an uneven ride. But I think it's just because it was so unique. It had such a novel concept and such a unique look, especially going, from the 50s to the 60s to the 70s to the 80s, and having the production values that it did. I think that's what earned it its nominations. Plus, I think that just the novelty of having Marvel shows being in that category and being able to go ahead and do so really for the first time since the Netflix series went off the air, and a lot of those were not as much beloved as what we see now with the Disney Plus shows. So I'm very happy to see that. But yeah, overall, The Boys, Cobra Kai, and just enjoying the fact that they were nominated. Still uber angry at the Emmys for not nominating Superstore in its final season. There were some really good episodes that touched on a lot of what's going on in current society, and the fact that it was not recognized even in its final season was very tragic. So I'm very disappointed in that. But again, some good stuff for the most part, some snubs as always. But yeah, to go ahead and repeat what Don Cheadle is saying, he doesn't get it either.
Yeah, I agree with you there, and unfortunately, I'm sorry, Don, but you're right.
Well, he's been nominated now 11 times. He's good.
Yeah, he's fine.
But
yeah, dude, I'm very interested to see what our fans have to say about the Emmy nominations this year. But I had one I did want to ask you about. Anya Taylor-Joy from The Queen's Gambit. Do you think she deserves the Emmy there? Because I don't know if you watched that entirely, but it was outstanding at times. At times, it was boring. So, but I did think that she did the character very well. Whatever that.
A lot of what Emmys do is they go off of momentum, and you know how popular The Queen's Gambit is, and in doing so, I think that it was just a train of momentum following them, and a lot of these shows and characters and that have a lot of momentum and popularity behind them, even if it's not the best of quality, will still get these nominations. Sometimes it even leads to wins just because of the popularity of whatever show that's driving behind it. So
Bridgerton.
Yeah, exactly. So Bridgerton is something that, is a guilty pleasure for a lot of people out there, but Bridgerton is not exactly the highest rated show as critically when you look at it at overall scores and whatnot. So it getting nominations at all, I'm sure, were a surprise to individuals out there. But to me, it's just the fact that Bridgerton and other shows, the Queen's Gambit, a lot of the stuff on Netflix had a lot of popularity, a lot of momentum driving behind it, and that's how they get nominated, man. A lot of times it's right there in front of your face that what's going on in pop culture, what people are looking at. A show like Superstore, which it was great for what it was, and just quietly just signaled itself off the air, that's going to get ignored a lot by the Emmy nominations. So I'm not too surprised, but I'm kind of disappointed. But yes, a lot of things that are out there in Emmy nominations. There's a ton out there as far as which were snubbed, which were right on the money, which were not deserving, which were that didn't get in. So I know a lot of people have opinions on there, but if you do, we would love to hear your thoughts on the Emmy nominations. If you have them, if you can, please share them with us, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. But my friend, any last thoughts on the Emmy nominations before we head on out?
No, I really hope Ted Lasso wins, at least one. But looking forward to a diverse winner pool here this year. Looking forward to possibly doing a little bit of an Emmys betting pool here with a few people in my local area. So looking forward to that. Doing maybe an Emmys bingo. Who knows? And Gerald, maybe we just publish this game. Whatever I end up doing, we just end up throwing it out to the masses here.
That would be great. I'd love the opportunity to do that. I'm trying to see if Star Trek got nominations. That's what I was trying to look up now. But yeah, the thing is Star Trek has really done some high quality shows as far as from a production standpoint.
Yep.
So I'm looking up to see if they got any Emmy nods because I didn't really hear that come across the pike because they've got 5.
Discovery and Lower Decks nominated for 5 Emmys.
Oh, that's good. Lower Decks is really funny. It takes a little bit to get into. Discovery is in its 3rd season. I think it found its groove as far as from a storyline and production wise. There are very few shows out there on television that spend more money, and it looks like it. It looked really good this year from a production standpoint. So very happy to see that. So that's good.
Lower Decks is picking up a nomination for Outstanding Sound Editing for a comedy or drama series half hour.
Yeah, that's I guess great, but it's not the one that they wanted because I think it's a funny show, but I think it probably deserved a little bit better than that. But well, hey, an Emmy nod is an Emmy nod, so we'll see what happens if they actually bring home the Emmys along that and all the other shows. But yeah, if you have a show or a performance that you think deserved, it got snubbed, or that you really are hoping that will win an Emmy, we again would love to hear your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, my friend, there's still much more to talk about on today's program, but before we get into heavy Loki spoilers. Oh, yeah. Yes. Lower Decks will put that on there. Yes. And they'll do it jokingly, too. They'll do it in some joking fashion. Yeah. But yes, before we get into Loki episode 6 and some heavy spoilage there, I wanted to ask you real quick, Space Jam. Space Jam with LeBron James, the revitalized version of Space Jam, A New Legacy, is coming out this weekend to theaters and also HBO Max. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Advanced critical praise has been pretty good. It's been okay as far as everything is concerned. Nothing really out of the norm from what I'm seeing. A lot of positive responses so far. I'm actually going to be seeing it this weekend, and we'll be reviewing it for both the Lakers Fast Break and Pop Culture Cosmos.
Look at you. I like that integration of the Lakers Fast Break there, Gerald.
Well, a lot of people, because it's LeBron and he's so much a part of the Lakers, you have to go ahead and make sure you share thoughts on that. But I've been doing a ton of work for Lakers Fast Break this week, and I've produced several episodes, plus doing a lot of promo work for them too. So it's been a great thing. Busy week for me. So, but anyways, I will probably have early next week a review for the Lakers Fast Break. And on the Monday show, I will definitely have a review for Space Jam: A New Legacy. But I want to ask your thoughts. It is expected to compete with Black Widow. I don't think it will surpass Black Widow because I still expect Black Widow to get about 30 to 35 million in its second week. I think that's what most box office analysts are saying, which could be right around the range of what Space Jam does. So Space Jam could pull off a little small upset, but we'll wait and see, and I will report that on Monday. But your thoughts on Space Jam: A New Legacy? Remember, it's also being played for free with the subscription on HBO Max here in America, here in the States. So I want to hear your thoughts on the impact of the box office, and is it something you're really going to go out of your way to see?
Definitely not going to go out of my way to go see it at the movie theater, but I will say that, if I get a chance this weekend, I will watch it on HBO Max. Black Widow just crossed 9 hours ago $100 million at the domestic box office. So I don't foresee Space Jam coming out and really, upsetting Black Widow at all. I really hope it doesn't. The reviews I've read, yes, they've been positive, but at times I've read other ones that said this is just 1 hour and a half long commercial. And if you really look back at what Space Jam was when I was a kid, Space Jam was just an hour and a half long commercial at that point too. It was trying to revive the Looney Tunes for a different generation, and they successfully did that, and they did it really well, and they did it with a compelling storyline and a little bit of advertisement and a lot of bit of just classic Looney Tunes, funny. And I'm hoping that LeBron does the same thing, but the early reviews that I've read about, kind of the integration and the nods that we're giving at the rest of the intellectual property that is owned by Warner Brothers, it just feels like one giant poster board for their entire IP.
To me, it just has to be fun, popcornish. Just has to be something that I like to enjoy, sit down. Yes, is it an attempt for Warner Brothers for the umpteenth time to revitalize the Looney Tunes for a new generation? Because if it does go over well, I'm sure there are more cartoons in the works for the Looney Tunes, because on so many of the Looney Tunes, they're probably not airing on HBO Max because they're all worried about the violence from way back when, what is more acceptable to go ahead and have characters hit themselves on the head and squish their brains and all that stuff that you saw and as a kid on Looney Tunes that supposedly have destroyed my mind ever since then. But it's something I'm hoping that they'll be able to go ahead and have fun with. Yes, I understand there's going to be a commercial going in, but still, I'd like to have a lot of fun seeing it. So I will give thoughts on that on Monday's show. I wanted to ask you real quick before we get into Loki's 2 other things, because I have not heard your thoughts yet on the Tomorrow War and Black Widow, because this is all about Black Widow. In fact, save Black Widow for the end of the show, because I'm going to do 3 quick interviews with TJ Johnson, with Jeff Dwoskin, and also as well knowing fine, they'll have some quick bites on Black Widow, so you save it for then. But did you see the disaster known as the Tomorrow War?
Thank you. You agree with me on the disaster that is Tomorrow War.
Have you not been listening to the show, man?
No, I mean, but I've got an entire family's worth of people that are telling me that the Tomorrow War was a great movie, and all I can think is absolutely not. This was a terrible movie. There were so many logical plot holes in this movie that all I could think was, please, somebody get the Swiss cheese out, because it's going to have less holes in it than this plot line does for this entire movie.
Well, I got to save the world, man. But the only way I can do that is if I know somebody who lives in the Florida region. Oh my gosh, how convenient. And then it was again and again and again. And the storyline was dumb. Chris Pratt just looked like he was meandering through it all. But you know what? There is a lot of people that like the Tomorrow War. And I'm going to give them respect for enjoying it. I'm going to give them a lot of respect.
People are wrong, Gerald.
Well, the thing is, you cannot argue success. And already it's become the best streaming film of the year, most popular for Amazon, and they're already in talks to do a sequel. Sorry to tell you, the Tomorrow War 2 could be on its way. So again, I just wanted to hear your thoughts on it. But yes, I thought it was a disaster. If you want to check out my thoughts, I've already said it on many times on the past couple of weeks of shows. So please tune that in. But yes, Josh and I had a dumpster fire when we talked about it the other day, and then of course last week as well. So yeah, I just go ahead.
And it feels like they were trying to do a Tenet light, and Tenet didn't do Tenet well enough. So
they're just trying to do an updated version of the Independence Day.
Well, yeah,
it had a very 90s feel to it. The problem is they didn't take what was so fun and what's so enjoyable from it along with it.
Yeah, and honestly, Chris Pratt, great lead man, but maybe not the best lead man for a movie like this.
He just was so depressed throughout the entire picture. It just was like, okay, I get it. Yeah. And the CGI was sometimes very iffy. But just a lot of issues with it. But yeah, the Tomorrow War, if you enjoyed it, more power to you, and I certainly don't want to dissuade you from that. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, send us your thoughts. Please send us your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. My friend, before we hit the half-hour break, and again, 3 great interviews coming up on Black Widow with Jeff Dwoskin, Also as well, TJ Johnson and Noe Fine. Loki episode 6, the finale, dropped this week to Disney Plus, and there's also some varying opinions on this. And my daughter said it best, who watched it with me, and afterwards got a lot of feedback on it. She says, if you're over 30, you get it and you enjoy it. If you're under 30, you don't get it and you didn't enjoy it. So that's what she's reading from the responses out there.
Oh, no.
She did not get it. She did not, and she did not like it as much as I did. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I loved it. I thought it was the best episode. I think it's the reason why it's the best episode of Loki is two words: Jonathan Majors, who did an absolutely brilliant performance. This was a total surprise in many ways. We weren't sure. We didn't think we were going to see his character as of yet, but he came on and literally. An episode that was 99% just sitting at an office desk and
knocked it out of the park.
Knocked it out of the park. But there's that one intense scenario where the rest of the 9 episodes you try to do something like this and it's going to be boring as heck. This episode with Jonathan Majors truly encaptured a great performance, and it just makes you wonder why HBO did not renew Lovecraft Country. To see the brilliance that he has as an actor, I just don't get it. I don't understand why they canceled it, but that's another issue altogether. But in essence, to give a roundabout way and some spoilers on it, the Lokis, both the Lady Loki and our Loki that we know as Tom Hiddleston, they both finally meet up as far as where they go to, at where the end of time is, and they go into the big house that controls everything as far as it's concerned, and the man behind it is He Who Remains. And that's what he's referred to, although a lot of people are trying to call him Kang already, or Kang the Conqueror or whatnot. But in essence, after they try to meet with him, try to kill him on a couple occasions, basically he describes to me, everyone out there, that he's been the individual solely responsible for handling the sacred timeline, and he's been the one that's keeping it together. And if you kill him, then you're going to mess everything up. You're going to branch out hundreds and hundreds and hundreds upon hundreds of timelines will sprout out. And you're going to have, since he was the one that helped create this singular timeline and helped shape it after a multiversal war in the first place, if you kill him, then everything is going to go awry with the whole timeline. And that just, the way he explains everything and sat down was just amazing, and put the pressure solely on the Lokis. And after a kiss with the Lokis, after you saw that there could be some hope, Lady Loki pushed our Tom Hiddleston Loki into a portal, sent him back to the TVA. She ends up killing him, and his last words were, "See you in shortly." And that means another Kang is going to be on his way, and maybe another and another. So that's going to lead into the Ant-Man. The next Ant-Man movie is going to have Kang the Conqueror, or a Kang, a version of that. So I want to hear your thoughts.
One of the billion,
Yeah, exactly. So this could lead. What it does now, it sets everything up for the rest of this phase or phases going forward as far as the multiverse is concerned. That's now in disarray, and also sets up at the end, in the end credits, for Loki season 2. So I want to hear your thoughts. I'll leave the floor to you, but I thought this was a brilliant episode, and it's all due to Jonathan Majors.
Yeah, I agree with you. The performance out of Jonathan Majors is outstanding. Great episode. I do want to kind of give a little bit of a postmortem on episode 5. I thought that was amazing as well. I think it's outstanding what Disney Plus has done, or Disney in general has done with the Marvel series so far, all of them, whether that's Mandalorian, Falcon and Winter Soldier, or this, and giving us the... You mean
WandaVision?
Yeah, sorry. WandaVision, this, or Falcon and Winter Soldier. I feel like what they've done here is given us the classic depictions of the characters over time. WandaVision did it best with the throwback Halloween costumes. Loki, I feel like we got to meet all the versions of Loki that may have existed throughout the comic books throughout time, right? When we did the episode 5 and we went into the end of time. Loki, I can't really point it out where we did the throwback, but there has to be somewhere. I just really enjoyed, and maybe it is Sylvie. Maybe Sylvie is the throwback that we're looking for.
Due
Lady
to
Loki.
Sylvie, and it's so funny because it wasn't Tom Hiddleston's Loki that could, that did make the maneuver that could possibly reshape the MCU for years to come. It was Sylvie. It was Sylvie that did it, and this killing of this particular Kang, let's just call him Kang for all better intents and purposes here, and this killing of Kang, what it could cause, and the ripple effect is going to cause chaos throughout the MCU, from the Multiverse of Madness with Doctor Strange 2 to next season of Loki to everything and beyond in regards to what's going on with the multiverses now colliding. The next Spider-Man could be involved with that too. So
do you feel like what they've done with the multiverse and what we've introduced?
Well, they made this TV series performance. They made this TV series important. So now you have to watch the TV series whether you want to or not, because you see something now with a major star that shows up, and also the fact they made a major decision going forward that's going to impact the entire MCU format for years to come.
They did, and I'm starting to realize that, are we setting the stage here with the next round of superheroes? So like we brought Sylvie in, and she's a nod at a different, a Lady Loki, but is Lady Loki our Loki moving forward in the cinematic universe or in the multiverse? And Tom Hiddleston falls off the backside, and then we've got our new Black Widow coming in. I mean, do we start reconstructing things here with these two, leading ladies?
You could see that with Loki, a changing of the Loki. But the thing is, there's still a future for Tom Hiddleston's Loki, because remember at the very end, when they talk about after the murder by Lady Loki to Kang, or He Who Remains, was done, and the portal that Loki was pushed through by Lady Loki ends up being a different time, a different multiverse altogether, because it shows the timekeeper statue of just Kang. And in it, the last words that were made by Owen Wilson, he looks at Loki and says, "You're just an analyst." He doesn't recognize him as Loki at all. He recognizes him only as a lowly analyst. So the whole things have appeared to change, and change very differently. I'm not sure Tom Hiddleston's going away, but you could see a changing of the guard, depending, just like we're seeing with Black Widow. So you could be right on that.
Yeah, I mean, it felt, as we were watching this yesterday, I really felt like this is the setting the stage for the changing of the guard, possibly. Tom Hiddleston, I think, will be around for season 2. It's just, does Sylvie take over in the cinematic performances here on out, and eventually takes over entirely? That remains to be seen. Or does she join him for cinematic performances for the first movie that she's in with him, or that he's in?
Well, now she's stuck at the end of time right now, possibly having to go ahead and be the one that tries to get everything back together.
Well, and then, I mean, does that question remains of, does she show up at the next, end of the Marvel Cinematic Universe before we start restarting, and she's the one that's held it all together throughout all the years? We've got all sorts of questions with no answers.
But we'll wait and see, my friend. But it's very interesting what Loki has laid out for us, not only for season 2, which was confirmed in the mid-credit scene, but also as well the rest of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think that's very gutsy of Disney and Marvel to go ahead and make a major decision like this for the Marvel Cinematic Universe on a TV show, not on one of their $200 million blockbusters that were shown up on the big screen. That they Kevin Feige's original words when announcing these shows were that you're going to have to watch the shows, and that the importance will be laid into the shows as much as the movies themselves. And with the decision that was made by Loki and in this series for the rest of the MCU right now, going forward in this phase, and the multiverse war that may happen, and the appearances by multiple Kangs even, and just the ripple effects of what it will cause for the rest of this timeline in the MCU until it gets repaired, was made on a TV show. And I think that took a great call by Kevin Feige, and I'm just so happy to see it. And the fact is that you don't have to just watch the movies, you have to watch the TV show, because it tells me that the TV series are taken very seriously and are almost as important, if not as important, as the movies themselves.
Yeah, I do enjoy that importance we've given the TV franchises here. I agree with you there. I think it's wonderful that we're forcing people into this. Not forcing, but I mean, like, we're really leading them down the pathway here of, you've got to be invested, because if you're not invested, you won't know the full story. But at the same time, we know you're going to show up to the movie theater and have 20-30% of people that have never watched the TV shows, and you're still going to have to explain some of these concepts to them, and they'll do that, and they'll do it really well. But yeah, I think this was a really good move of giving us a little bit more backstory, a little bit more lore, a little bit more of the universe here, multiverse here, while also giving us the stuff that is going to set the stage for the next round of movies.
But overall, you and I absolutely loved episode 6 of Loki, episode 5 as well. Yep. Thought they were outstanding. It closed Loki on a high note for me. I was on the, like my good friend, Mr. TJ Johnson, we were on the fence on where we rate the series. But now, to me, there's no doubt that Loki has been the best series so far in the Marvel television universe. What are your thoughts for you as well?
No, I was just going to say, I feel like every time we get a new round of Marvel shows, like the next one that's up.
Well, you only got 3 right now, my friend. Really, 3. Yeah. I'm not counting the Netflix ones. So you only got 3, or the ABC ones. Not counting them either. Yeah. Don't get me started on the ABC ones.
But I feel like you and I were really hyped about WandaVision, and then you were really hyped about Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and now both of us are really hyped about this being the next, best thing.
This is the best one so far.
Yeah. No, and I totally agree with you here. I think episode 6 was outstanding. Episode 5, outstanding as well. I thought it was a great ride. I still kind of think back to your early reviews of week 1, episode 1, and I do agree with you more and more as time goes on. It was too slow. But it did set the stage for us for the rest of the season. I think we got a wonderful 6-episode run out of it.
Yeah, we did. Overall, it ended on the note that I think needed to be ended on, and it sets up so much more for the future in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. What are your thoughts out there on Loki episode 6, season 1? Because there is a season 2 on the way, as confirmed by Loki. Share us your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, coming up next, it is comedian Jeff Dwoskin, Knowing and Fine. And first up, TJ Johnson. They're all here to talk Black Widow. So I'm going to go ahead and chat with them real quick. They're going to share their quick thoughts on Black Widow coming up after the break. And then right after, Mr. Castle PCC, Marcus de la Garza, and I will be talking about Steam Deck, Gunpowder Milkshake, and Netflix getting into video games as we close out the show. This is the PCC Multiverse. The PCC Multiverse. And we're back with the PCC Multiverse. It's Gerald coming right back at you here as we close out the show. Want to thank so much TJ Johnson, comedian Jeff Dwoskin, and of course, Knowing and Fine from Honey Queen for being on the show today. But before we head on out, my friend, Gunpowder Milkshake is also climbing up the charts on Netflix, doing a good job of that. Didn't get the greatest reviews of the world. I'm sorry to hear that, but it's got some really great individuals as part of it. Karen Gillan is the star, trying to put her at the forefront of being a badass, assassin who gets wronged by her handler, and it ultimately ends up pinning her, trying to protect the kid against this evil guy, Paul Giamatti, and his organization. So she needs some help. So she enlists the help of her mother, Lena Headley, who does a great job, Carla Gugino, Michelle Yeoh, who I love whatever she does. She just does a great job in anything that I think she does in any of the stuff that she does. Angela Bassett, and we know Angela Bassett is just truly sensational. This seems like a great cast. And I'm wondering why it's just not going over as well critically, but on Netflix, it seems to be really popular.
I mean, it's in the top 10 today for Netflix, and I do want to say that if you watch the trailer, I don't know how you felt about it, but it looked like Sucker Punch met John Wick met Kingsman, and that combination of things and this cast, it looks really appealing, and I was really looking forward to watching this. I hadn't read any of the reviews yet, so it's a little upsetting to hear that the critical reviews haven't been great. But
But I'm going to check it out. I'm really excited for it because I really enjoy the cast, and I want to see if Karen Gillan can be put into that lead role. Obviously she's done a great job with Jumanji and of course the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'd love to see what she can do when she's put center stage. So I definitely want to give that a try and check that out. And hopefully I will be able to do so this weekend after Space Jam. So I'm wishing her and everyone else and the movie itself a tremendous success. And I'm hoping that we will see a Gunpowder Milkshake too sometime in the future, because Netflix is making decisions like they did last year with some other movies, that they're starting to make decisions with these action flicks. Should they start maybe a little cinematic turn of their own where they're doing sequels and other movies within that realm? So hopefully Gunpowder Milkshake will get a sequel and will be a hit on Netflix.
Agreed. It looks entertaining, and like I said, I stayed away from the reviews, and I hope I'm right. I think that just my gut instinct on this trailer is it's going to be decent.
What are your thoughts out there on Gunpowder Milkshake? Share your thoughts, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. My friend, there's just a couple more items before we head on out. I'm not going to really hold my thoughts here. I'm going to share most of it on Monday because I really want to evaluate it a little bit more. But Steam Deck was announced today by Steam themselves because they're very secretive about the way they go about things. It would have been nice if they said, you know what, we're going to introduce a new handheld PC gaming player that's very similar in many ways to the Nintendo Switch and what the Vita once was. And we're going to introduce a new Left 4 Dead and a new Half-Life. That would be great. But unfortunately, they didn't announce the games, which I'm still, and along with many other people, have been waiting for over a decade for. But they did announce a handheld Steam player called the Steam Deck. So a lot of people can catch their PC gaming on the go. Your thoughts on it? You think it's going to be powerful enough to go ahead and drive a lot of those PC games?
The hope is there that it will be. They've got a dedicated proprietary, processor that AMD built for them.
Of course.
Yeah, it's so hopefully, and they're claiming that it will have enough power to run the latest AAA games at at a very efficient power threshold here. But I don't know if this is actually going to be the case. You hope it is, but I know that it's going to maybe take some significant refactoring or just remake to make some of these games maybe play nicely on this Steam Deck. Hopefully it isn't, but everything kind of points to it probably will. The fact that it can dock is really a game changer to me in the sense of we finally have somebody to compete with Nintendo Switch. The entire idea behind the Switch to me is it's a lifestyle brand now. You can pick it up, you can take it with you. It's your identity. You can walk into somewhere, sit down and play with it. I mean, people that love their Switch and take it with them everywhere, right? And so I think that's what Steam is looking or hoping to do, and I hope they succeed at it because, I would love to be able to take Portal with me anywhere in the world. If they want to redo some of the Portal games or just make any of that available to us via, the Orange Box remake for Steam Deck or what have you. So, Gerald, I'm kind of with you. I'm reserving judgment entirely until we see the games. But if you look at the models here, I was a little bit disappointed. You've got the low end, which is $400. You've got 64 gigabytes of built-in memory, and that's all you get. And then you jump up another $120. It looks like $130. You get 250 gigabytes of solid state drive, and then for another $140, you get 512 gigabytes, half terabyte of solid state. That's I think that middle tier right there is going to be the nice threshold. I don't know if this has expandable memory on top of that. If it does, you're golden. If not, then hey, you better pony up for that, at least that middle tier there.
Yeah, exactly. So that's going to be of concern, is how expandable can it be? Because these games are going to get more and more intensive in regards to the power that they push. A handheld Steam Deck or a super tower that you have right below your desk. These games are going to push the needle on those types of machines. So if you don't have a Steam Deck that's going to be able to drive these games, then you're going to have the same issues that you have right now with Nintendo. And we talk about the ports all the time that put, chug along, and because they're not able to go ahead and the processor's not able to go ahead and handle what game is being displayed on it. So you're going to have that concern there with the Steam Deck. So I reserve my judgment on it. I'm going to share more thoughts on Monday and let Josh talk about it, because this is a lot up his alley in regards to gaming is concerned. And this could be something of interest that gets him into PC gaming, because he's not really a PC gamer per se. He's more into consoles. So I'm going to see what he thinks about it on the Monday show. But I want to look at it a little bit more, see if I think it's something that I think would be a good value. But the $400 price tag was a hard, that had to be, I guess, according to Gabe Newell at Valve, the guy that owns Valve, the guy that's behind this decision to make the Steam Deck. That had to be a hard sell right there, at least giving you an entry point of $400.
Yeah, it's it's one of those things you've got to bring people in at a decent entry point, and I understand why you're gonna throw out that 64 gigabyte model with the onboard memory. But I think the more of the people that are like you and I that you're invested in some of these games but not willing to go build the highest end PC, I think this is going to be a great unit for people like us.
Well, let's hope so. Let's hope so indeed. If you are interested on PC gaming on the go, the Steam Deck will be out in the not too distant future, so we'll go ahead and talk more about it on the Monday show. But if you have any thoughts now on the Steam Deck, let us know. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. My friend, we've got a great episode. Like I said, on Monday, we're going to be talking about the results of Space Jam. I'll have a review of it as well. We're going to be talking, like I said, about the Steam Deck a little bit more, and also some Lego, because we had Bill send us another email with, I guess, talking to Josh and I about our thoughts on Legos, and he had some thoughts on it, and we do appreciate it. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. So we're going to take a second look at Legos coming up on the Monday show as well. But
Nice.
Before we head on out, my friend, it is Netflix. They recently pried away a former EA, Electronic Arts executive, for someone to be in charge, for him to be in charge as the VP of gaming for Netflix. And this is something, I don't know if it's entirely surprising, because the fact that they've had so many gaming related projects that they've introduced over the course of the past calendar year. Obviously the Castlevania series has done great. We talk about Resident Evil. That animated series is on right now at Netflix. There's so many other game related things that they're doing in regards to programming. And I think one is going to tie into the other, and that was probably the main reason why, driving force behind it. But it sounds like they're going to be creating some original games and concepts, and maybe has a shared IP ultimately with Netflix. It doesn't mean that you're going to be getting a disc in a box from Netflix, but it does tell me that they might be going ahead and producing games as a new game publisher. That to me is, they're not going to go back to what we see now. What's the company that ships out the games that to you in the disc that mail's still mailed?
I just closed my laptop. I'm sorry. I'm gonna pass on.
Okay, but they're not gonna ship out the DVD, the games
Right, yeah.
to you, the Blu-rays to you out there. But like the old days, this is more of they are creating actual games, I think, in the not too distant future. So your thoughts on this? I think it will ultimately lead to a shared IP between a movie or series concept leading into a game, or vice versa. Your thoughts on Netflix getting into video games?
Yeah.
Go ahead, man. Share alike, man.
I feel like Google Stadia tried this, didn't work. Steam tried this at one point, didn't work.
Well, remember, Google Stadia did not produce a game. They were in development on games, and they cut that off.
Yeah. So I mean, if they realized early enough that it wasn't going to work, why is Netflix going after it? Other than we just went and hired the head of EA games, mobile games, and this man is got enough. I don't know. He's rambunctious enough to come in and rally the boardroom around the idea that we need to start, selling games to our subscribers. And look, I'm probably gonna be a soundbite moving forward, probably, where this is gonna take off and it's gonna be a great, success. And cloud gaming on Netflix is gonna be the next big thing. Hopefully not. But we'll see when it comes. But I just don't see this as a winning prospect. I think Netflix needs to stick to what they do best, TV and movies, and leave the video games for other people out there. If you want to license your content to somebody else to make it for you, great. There's a billion studios out there that can make your games great. But don't bring it in-house. And I understand that you can just go acquire a studio and bring them in-house, but even that feels dangerous. Let them exist on their own.
You could see a situation where Gunpowder Milkshake. Let's use that for example.
No, please don't. No.
Well, I'm just throwing that example. Let's say it becomes a really successful movie, and then they transition it over into a video game. Stranger Things could be something where they transition it over instead of saying we're going to let another company, we're going to rent out our IP to them and make a Stranger Things game, so to speak. We're going to create it in-house and go from there. So we could be seeing that type of Umbrella Academy or something like that. We could be seeing the situation where they want to keep more of it in-house. They've got the money and they've got the popularity at this point in time to push it. So why not? I'd say give it a shot. I mean, if you and I could go in a garage right now and make our own video game, as an independent game, and if it turns out great, and you get acclaim by it, independent game, it stays an independent game the first time around. You try to make another one, then a bigger publisher takes notice of you and say, "Hey, we like your stuff. We're going to buy you out so you can make bigger games." And your staff gets. We've seen that success story now done many times.
Right.
Why not do it from the other end of the spectrum and have something that's heavily financed from the get-go? I mean, we have seen failures with Amazon. You're right. Amazon has.
Oh, Amazon did their own as well. I forgot about that.
Unfortunately, they've had 2 failures out of the get-go that they've had to pull. They have one more with New World that they're going to try and bring out. We'll see what happens with that as far as a multiplayer online experience and all that. We'll see what happens there. But the jury's still out on them after 2 straight failures. But Netflix, they're bringing someone in with knowledge of this. Who knows? I'm going to give it a shot. You never know what may happen.
I just want to know, I mean, what controller are we going to be using to plug into our TV at this point to do this? Or,
I don't think they're going to do their own console. I don't think they're going to do their own console. This would be something that would be on someone else's platforms.
All right. Okay.
I don't think they would be that they like you said, they saw what happened with Google Stadia, and I think they would not go that route.
I hope so. I really do hope that we end up with content on the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. But if
you're not convinced, you think they're going to put out their own thing. You're going to think about the Netflix.
They're going to do the Netflix cloud gaming route, and it's going to be terrible and a waste of money. And the EA guy is going to be fired in 5 years, and that's going to be the end of it. And they're going to be out $50 million, $75 million.
Better save those Netflix shares. That's all I say. But what are your thoughts out there on Netflix getting into video games? Could it be something like what I'm talking about as far as on the publishing end that they could get into, or do you think they're going to do something a little bit larger in concept, like Marcus thinks? Share us your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, my friend, it's been a great episode. Cannot thank you enough for stopping by. As always, any last thoughts on the way out?
No, I just really appreciated all the nods that my favorite shows got on for the Emmys this year. Ted Lasso being number one, WandaVision number 2, and lastly, I think I really hated Flight Attendant with Kelly Cuoco, and I'm the only person in the nation that probably hated it. So
she's getting a lot of praise for that show.
She is. I couldn't make it. There's so much going on in that first episode. I don't know. I couldn't do it. Just really couldn't do it.
Well, there you go. Not the flight attendant fan is Marcus. But if you are a fan, let us know. Or Castle PCC on the Twitter and Instagram. He's always there for you. But also, we are too, right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. But for Marcus De La Garza, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great day. Yeah. Thanks for watching, everyone.